Hey guys, George at SoundTraxx here. Now, this week I just got done doing this decoder installation into this Atlas B23-7. And it got me thinking, well, when people get a new Blunami, do they know where to start? Well, let's go ahead and dive into that today. So guys, let's say first you've gotten your decoder, you've put in your Blunami, and you're ready to go. And you're really excited because we're so happy we've got our first Blunami. But the question is always, where do you start? Well, first we've got to go ahead and get our device. Now, remember, this is a DCC decoder. And so therefore, if you have a DCC system, you can certainly test it using the DCC system. So to show you that, I'm going to go ahead and plug it in. And you can hear my Locomotive fire up. And so I can grab, on my throttle here, I show address 3. I've got my horn, I've got my headlight control, and I can move the Locomotive in both directions. So we have our control of the decoder based on DCC. So we can certainly test the decoder's installation, its functionality, everything we need to do in the DCC system. I'm going to go ahead and mute this Locomotive so that way we can talk as I go through the process. And then we're going to go ahead and fix that in just a moment. So we've got our Locomotive. It's tested. Everything's working just fine. Now the big question is going to be, what next? Well, we bought Blunami, so we're going to want to use the Blunami app. So the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go to your app, your settings menu. In this case, I'm using the Android tablet, so we're going to go to the Play Store. And we're going to go ahead and go up here into search, or where's the search button? I'm not an Android regular user, so I don't know where the search is. There it is, search right there in the middle. So we're going to come up here, we're going to type it in. We're going to type in Blunami, and we're going to go ahead and click on that. And then there you go. You can see you've got the Blunami app. And as you can tell on this device, it's already installed and open and ready to go. So you would just click install and then enter passwords or whatever you have on your account to make sure you can download the Blunami app. So we're done with that. So we're going to go ahead and close the Play Store. So the next thing you want to do is you want to make sure that your Bluetooth on your device is actually set to on. Now, this is a very common thing because normally when you're running around with your device, whether it's your phone, your tablet, whatever, you don't want Bluetooth to be on just willy-nilly because then it's looking around and seeing all the other Bluetooth devices. And that's usually the kind of stuff that you hear hackers and things like that can connect and start reading stuff on your phone. So you always want to be careful about that. But in this case, we're going to go ahead and turn on our Bluetooth. So you're going to go ahead and swipe to get to the settings. You see the settings button down there. Now you can see our Bluetooth is actually on as it's shown up here in the upper right corner. But if I turn that off and turn that on, then you can make sure that it is enabled. You want to make sure that it's actually on. Now, if you are also in this particular screen here and we go to the Bluetooth page, you can also see that you have available devices right there underneath where it says Blunami v1.0. Do not use the settings menu to connect to the app to connect to your device, because you need to use the app, because if you connect here, this is connecting to the operating system or the OS, and therefore once it's connected to the OS, when you open the Blunami app, you'll never see it. So we do not want to click on it here. We want to make sure we're not connecting to it in the settings menu. So we're going to go ahead and go back, and we're going to go ahead and close our settings menu. So now we're fired up, we're ready to go. We want to connect to the app. So we're going to open up our Blunami app. Now you can see that Blunami v1.0 is shown in our screen here, and you can see that it's already connected to it. Now I will tell you that before you do anything else, yes, you're paired to the device, but we haven't sent it any commands yet. So the Locomotive is still following DCC commands. So this is one way you can make sure that nobody steals your Locomotive while you're operating if you want to use the DCC system. You can connect to it here in the menus page, but then if you go no further, you can still respond to DCC commands, but now nobody else can see it and pair to it. Now, once we go ahead and go that next step, we're going to hit multi-train here, and that's going to take us into the settings, or into the control. And it's go ahead and reading all of the CVs on this particular decoder to make sure all the menus in the app match everything that's been currently set in the decoder. Now, I haven't done anything to this yet, so that's why it's sitting here fired up and ready to go. It's named Blunami V1.0. So here's where you can come in and test it. So we can turn on our headlight. We see our headlights on. We blow our horn, and we can move the locomotive. But now you'll notice that it is no longer responding to any of the commands on our throttle, because once you connect to the app, the decoder is programmed to ignore track commands. And the reason is because if you had somebody else that wanted to run that locomotive, not realizing you're using it, if they grab their throttle and start trying to talk to it, now your decoder is doing all kinds of crazy things. One's telling it to do it from the app, one's telling it to do it from the DCC system, and you can see where that would lead to a lot of confusion. So once it's connected to the app, the decoder presumes you want to talk to it from the app, and so therefore you'll have control of it at all times through the app. And when I disconnect, somebody else can come over and connect to it through their app. I just can no longer grab it with my DCC system without cycling the power. So what do we do? So now we've got our locomotive, we've tested it, we make sure everything works, we've gone in reverse, we've got a reverse light. Now on this particular locomotive, as I know you guys know I do, I tend to add a lot more lights. And so we're going to go down here to the function button, and you can see it pulls up the function list. Now I can move this over to the left or the right, whichever I prefer, and I can go in here, check the horn, check the bell, and I can check all kinds of things. But we're going to go ahead and test the lights. So you can see that there's the FX3. Now as you'll notice, the front class lights are now illuminated. FX4, the rear class lights are now illuminated. FX5 illuminates the number boards on the front. FX6 is the rear number boards. And FX7 and FX8 actually illuminate the ground lights or the truck lights. So all of our lights work. We've got control of our decoder. Everything is great. So now we're just going to go in and do some settings and setting adjustments. So you're going to hit this gear down on the bottom of this screen, and that's going to take us to our settings. And this is where you can rename the locomotive so that everybody knows it's yours. We're going to go to General Settings here, and up at the top there you see Loco Nickname. And that's where I'm going to go ahead and type this in. Now, normally when I'm at home, I'm the only one running. But as many of you guys are aware, we've got Tom now, who's also a fellow Missouri Pacific modeler. So now I almost feel like I should put my initials on my locomotives to make sure we don't get our locomotives confused. But I'm not going to do that right now. We're just going to go ahead and type Mopac B23. Whoops. What am I doing here? B23. I hit the wrong button here. I want to go to this. Where is -7 space number 2289. And then I hit OK, and you can see that that is saved there in the app. Now, as you go through here, we can set the DCC address. We're going to type this in. We're going to change this to 2289. Hit OK. And then the app is now going to automatically change the DCC address for my decoder. So that way, if I do decide to run it here, now I don't have to worry about address 3. I can run it under address 2289 because that's the locomotive number. There's a few other things here you can decide, like if, for example, if you disconnect from the app, whether it will continue running or come to a stop. That's a personal choice. Auto connect, whether you want it to automatically connect or manually connect. And then if the speed stop or the stop all method, if you want to have it send out an emergency command, we can go ahead and send that to where now when I hit the stop all button, it will actually broadcast an e-stop. Now this is also where we can go in and make our sound settings. So now the master volume is the first one I'm going to change. So I'm going to go ahead and hit my master volume. I'm going to go ahead and push the button here. And I'm going to change this down to a value of, say, let's make it 75, because that sounds about right. So now you can see that my locomotive is much lower. And it's making it real time. So when actually I took away the value of 192, you heard the volume go to 0 because I didn't have a value there. But then when I typed in 75, you heard the volume go up. So that's one of the benefits of Blunami, is as you're making these changes, you can instantly hear those changes. Now, can anybody in the comments below notice what CV number I just changed with the volume? I didn't mention it because I don't care. I'm using the app to make my adjustments. And this is where I can go through and make all of my other adjustments as well. Again, I don't need CVs. Just for really quick, we're going to go ahead and change the front class lights. This is the FX3. We're going to change this from the traditional diesel light, which is an on-off dimmable light. We're going to go ahead and scroll all the way to the top, and we're going to go to an on-off brightness 1. Now when I hit that, my class light has actually dimmed down a little bit, and I hit OK. Now we're going to go ahead and change this to an LED. Hit OK, and then you're going to notice the light has now gone up just a little bit dimmer, because LEDs and light bulbs have different illumination properties. So I've got my on-off brightness 1. Now if I want to go adjust the brightness, I go up here to the top, adjust the brilliance. There's my brightness 1 register. So if I want to change this to, say, a value of 35, I hit OK, you can see that my light has dimmed significantly, but it's still on. So 35 may be a little too low. Let's go to 50, and that's probably a good brilliance right there. So this is how you can adjust all of your lights. Now I'm going to show you 2 more things really quickly. The first one is when it comes to function remap, we can put the control of any of these functions on any button we desire. So when we go to the function remap here, we know our class lights are on the FX3. So if I click this, you'll see that I have a box with a whole bunch of checkboxes in it. And all I got to do is click on the button I want to control that FX3 lighting output. So if I want to turn it on with button 5, I just click the 5 key, and you'll see that it's been checked. And therefore, now the 5 key will turn on my FX3 lighting effect. The biggest thing to take in mind, though, or to keep in mind, I should say, is that when I assign a light to another function, it doesn't automatically displace what was assigned to that function. So in this particular case, if I leave F5, RPM plus is actually the function 5. And so therefore, if I press the 5, you'll hear the RPM notch up and my class lights turn on. And so that's where you kind of have to manage your function panel properly. So that way you can have the correct function buttons that you desire turn on the decoder, or turn on with the buttons that you want. All you're doing here is just telling the decoder how you want it to behave. So we're going to go ahead and cancel that, because I do want to leave it where it is. And the last thing I was going to show you is where it says Manage Function Panel here. And this is where you have the full list of all the functions that are set to this particular locomotive and the decoder and where they're at. But we're going to go ahead and scroll over here to the FX3. We're going to type this, and we're going to rename this so that way I don't have to remember FX3 as my class lights turned on with button 24. I'm just going to rename this to, whoops, I hit something wrong here, front class lights. And then you can see that the toggle, and that means that it's an on-off thing rather than momentary. So when it toggles, I toggle it on and toggle it off, but if I were to uncheck that, it would make the function momentary. That's something your DCC system can't do. But when I write this name in here, I want to save it. I want to make sure that anytime I grab this device, it's going to remember that that is my front class lights. So I'm going to check that button that says lock name, so that way it will stay there forever. So when I hit save, now you can see in the screen here that it says front class lights. So now anytime I go to my my function panels, let's close it and reopen it. Now you'll see that the name has changed from FX3 to front class lights. And so this is how you can customize this function button in the Blunami, so that again, you don't have to remember which button does what, and then trying to remember how to access them on the DCC system. I can just look at the app, see that that's my class light button, and I can turn it on and off. Now this is a very quick, basic overview of what you can do when you get the app and get started with your locomotive. But the good thing is everything that the Blunami can do, remember, Blunami is a Tsunami 2, so everything that is in the Blunami that you want to adjust can be done through the app using the settings, just like we talked about. So sound settings, if we want to adjust reverb or equalizer, we want to set an alternate volume mixer, I want to go in here and create speed tables, I can certainly do that all through the app. Now, there's a couple of things. Last thing I do want to remember to point out. So when we go to CV settings here, you'll notice there's a CV backup button. And what that's telling you is I can actually have this app store my settings so I can back it up. So now I can go through and make all the changes I want to my Blunami as far as behavior, whether I want to play with speed tables, momentum, any of that other stuff. And if I don't like it, I just hit the CV restore and it goes back to the way it was before I started making my changes. Again, in a matter of seconds. So this is really the versatility here of Blunami. We're just scratching the surface, so I encourage you, first day with my new mouth. So I encourage you to go out, get a Blunami, try it out, play with the app, see how much more fun running your trains can actually be. So that's everything I've got for you this week. Appreciate you all tuning in. Please make sure you like and subscribe to our channel, like this video. So if you have any questions or comments, leave it in the comments below or send us an email to support@soundtraxx.com. We'll be happy to help answer anything we can. Guys, that's it. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.